Maelstrom Wanderer versus Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. I'm hoping that that's not too powerful a commander, because our opponent said that we had to use a deck that had no counterspells in it. So I've pulled out the Maelstrom Wanderer. Obviously we don't want to cascade into counterspells with this deck, so it's the first one I thought of. But playing an incredibly powerful Yidris Maelstrom Wielder deck against decks that can't do anything about it with counterspells seems a bit off to me. But maybe it's a more casual build, so we'll soon find out, I'm sure. Let's set things off with Command Tower. We'll go into Sol Ring. And then we've got Warm Power Stone for next turn. Our aim with this deck is to ramp as much as we can and get into the Maelstrom Wanderer as fast as possible. Okay, getting into a tap land is good. We can get that out of the way, play that down, go for Warm Power Stone and pass over to our opponent. We are going to have 4, 5, 6, 7 mana next turn. We could go for Boundless Realms. We could go for Karn Liberated, actually, that would be funny. But if our opponent doesn't want to play against counter magic, I dare say they don't want to play against turn 3 Karns either. Then again, who does? We'll just get down the Boundless Realms now. It's not going to be the best Boundless Realms anyone's ever cast, but it will get us into some more mana. We get one of each of the Teamer colours. And see if our opponent can catch up with us here. This isn't a fair match, obviously, because we got into a turn 1 Sol Ring, and yeah, our opponent didn't like that because, well, pretty obvious that we're far ahead of them. Yeah, so not a fair match, and it's fair enough our opponent's scooping there. Let's get on with another Maelstrom Wanderer game. Alright, decided to play against this opponent again because they didn't have a fair matchup last time. We've got a considerably worse... Well, it's not actually considerably worse. We just don't have a turn 1 Sol Ring, but we can go for Sakura Tribalder turn 2 into 1 Power Stone. Yeah, we shouldn't have too much trouble casting our commander this game. A Mana Vault from our opponent, so serves us right for getting down all that mana on turn 3 last game. Although we've got a Mana Vault of our own, that's quite humorous. Let's go for the Forest. Into the Mana Vault, into the Warm Power Stone, I think is okay. And then we can start thinking about... We'll probably go for Sakura Tribalder, and then maybe we can tap or untap the Mana Vault the turn after, if we feel as though we need to. Going in for Karn, the Great Creator. So our opponent doesn't want to play against counter spells, but you can go for Karn, the Great Creator. Yeah, I had a feeling that might be one of those opponents. So now we are headed into... Let's just get down the Sakura Tribalder. I'm trying to hold off on cracking the Bloodstained Mire for as long as possible, because we don't know what colours we want yet, although we've got Solemn that we can cast next turn. And what's the ultimate on this? I don't think it has one, does it? No, it's just the plus ability on this. Until your next turn, up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact with power and toughness equal to the CMC. Yeah, fair enough. We're not going to play around that too heavily. I'm going to sack the Sakura Tribalder now. We're not going to get a point of damage on Karn, but we will be able to play out our Solemn Simulacrum. Now, I suppose we could have kept the Sakura Tribalder if we'd known we were going to draw into Spoils of Victory. Not to worry, we'll get down the Solemn anyway, so we can start swinging in with it next turn. We've got quite a lot of blue and green in this deck, but I want to make sure that we've definitely got green, just in case our opponent gets rid of the basic forest somehow. So let's grab Tiger. and then we can get an island with the Simulacrum. Now we can consider untapping the Mana Vault next turn. Oh no, we can't activate its abilities, can we? Including mana abilities, so there would be no point in doing that. Just thinking of getting our commander down as soon as possible. We've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 next turn, which keeps us off Vorinclex. So let's just go for... Oh, we've got Karn Liberated. Oh, and our opponent scoops. Okay, so they're clearly missing land drops. And we were just going to get into Karn Liberated and get rid of their Karn the Great Creator anyway. So a couple of really fast games there. I imagine by the time I've edited them down, this is all under 5 minutes. So I imagine that the real Maelstrom Wanderer game that you clicked on this video to see is about to start right now. Now then, third time's a charm. Maelstrom Wanderer versus Oloro Ageless Ascetic. With 1 land in hand, we've got ramp, but no means of actually casting the ramp, so let's mulligan. That is much better. We don't have anything in the early game, but hopefully our opponent doesn't either. We just have to keep our fingers crossed. Let's put Sphinx of Athun on the bottom. And we're on the play, unfortunately, so we don't have any chance of drawing into a rock on turn 1. You do not draw on your starting turn in 1 versus 1. Oloro gaining his 2 life for the start of his turn. Haven't seen Oloro in 1 versus 1 in a very long time. Been meaning to build some kind of, I don't know, Pillow Fort Planeswalker deck, but I think it would be better suited in multiplayer than it would be in 1 versus 1. Avenger of Zendikar. Hopefully we don't just continue to draw into all of our expensive stuff. We'll get down another tap land with the Wooded Foothills, but we'll pretend to hold up counter magic. Thank you very much, Handbrake, for telling me that the video has done converting. That was loud and obnoxious, wasn't it? In for a red mana, we'll go for red and green. So which tap land do we want? The Cinderglade is the one we want. Okay, well that's a land that can... No, we already had mana for Gilded Lotus, didn't we? Yeah, some cheap rocks would be the thing we're aiming for here, but nevertheless we can go there, hold up counter magic for all our opponent knows, and then we'll go Ancient Tomb into Gilded Lotus next turn. And we see that second blue, that very much increases the chances of seeing counter magic. But we need it out of our opponent's hand if they've got it, so let's see if they want to counter a Gilded Lotus. Seems like a pretty good thing to counter. No, just... Oh, and I F6'd. I could have gotten down the Beast Caller there. Oh well. Yeah, that's a misplay on my part. I was assuming that we were going to see a counter spell there, so I did just F6 after casting that, and definitely should have gotten down the Beast Caller Savant. But we've still got mana for Maelstrom Wanderer next turn, assuming that Gilded Lotus isn't dealt with. A Sorin Solemn Visitor, so it looks like it's a Super Friends deck maybe. From Oloro, this might be the tactic that I want to go for in the multiplayer version of this deck. Maybe they're going for a Pillow Fort Super Friends variant. We'll drop the Sulphur Falls, then go in for our Maelstrom Wanderer. Then we get a couple of Cascade triggers. The good thing about Maelstrom Wanderer, playing it against control decks, Inferno Titan might make our opponent scoop. The good thing about playing it against control decks is even if your commander gets countered, you still get the Cascade triggers, so it's a really good one. If you ever struggle against counter magic in your meta, then running Maelstrom Wanderer is a really good one to go with because of that very reason. And oftentimes you cascade into more mana, just like we are doing now. And that just means that it's even easier to recast your commander again the turn after. Now we've got an Inferno Titan with haste. So we'll swing in, we'll shock the Vampire. And we'll ping our opponent. That gets the Vampire out of the way. And then we whack our opponent for a huge 13 points of damage. And again, the good thing about this deck is that even if our opponent wipes the board here, we can still recast our commander next turn, and it does have haste, so they're still open to getting another hit in from our commander, and they can only take 3 in total, direct hits that is, until they go down to commander damage. So they're in a tough spot here. Going for a Silence the Believers onto our Titan, which is exile any number of creatures as long as you can pay Strive, which they can't, so they just get to exile 1. Let's try and get some damage in with Avenger of Zendikar, because we do have haste on the board currently. Out comes the Avenger. They might have Swords to Plowshares, but again, we don't mind losing our Maelstrom Wanderer. There it is, the Path to Exile. They're going to give us a land before we get the tokens, which is intelligent. Definitely say yes there. We'll get a basic island. That will trigger the Avenger of Zendikar. We always say yes and yield to that, but it won't affect us until we get these plant tokens in. And then all the plants come in. We do not have haste anymore, but we will be able to put some counters on that for next turn. I think we might as well get the Beastcaller Savant into play now. Should have been in play already. And that is a haster, so we might as well just peck our opponent and see if they've got anything else for us. They've named Construct with the Cavern of Souls and have generated uncounterable Construct mana. And it's a Cataclysmic Gearhulk that they've gone for, so when it enters, each player chooses an artifact, creature, enchantment and planeswalker, and then they sacrifice the rest. We will obviously choose Gilded Lotus, and we'll keep the Avenger of Zendikar just because it's the biggest creature. So that gets rid of our token board. A Tooth and Nail can help us out greatly. But I think I want to get down Mana Reflection first. So let's go for 6 mana from the Gilded Lotus. And we will replay our Maelstrom Wanderer. A Muldrifter's really nice. That's going to be a 2/2 flyer with haste, but it will draw us a couple of cards as well. Get into the Vorinclex. And a Karn Liberated as well. That is some really good cascade that we've got on this game so far. And it's fair enough that our opponent decides to scoop there. All we do is exile the Cataclysmic Gearhulk, and we would be swinging in for 7, 9 and 14 points of damage. And then our opponent is left with dealing with both a Karn and our creatures on board, and a Mana Reflection, so yeah, they had too much to deal with there, and it's fair enough that they scooped to that. Hopefully you all enjoyed watching these Maelstrom Wanderer games. I enjoy playing them. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.